Mr. President, dear Joseph, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, many, many thanks for this proof of confidence, political confidence, personal confidence. I'm very proud to be the top candidate of this marvelous European People's Party. Je voudrais dire d'abord
I'd like to say some friendly words to Michel Barnier. Show my respect. And we were neither opponents or enemies, but we were competitors. We have a long-standing and solid friendship. I'd like to ask Michel to come up to the podium with me because we want to win the elections together.
Merci, Jean-Claude.
Thank you, Jean-Claude. And thank you. Thank you for letting me say a few sentences at quite an emotional time for me, for us. I'd like to congratulate Jean-Claude Juncker from the bottom of my heart. We've never been enemies, far from that. We were competitors, and we've had friendship and admiration for each other. So bravo, Jean-Claude, and you can count on me. I should also like to say to you, to those who voted for me, delegates and MPs, MEPs, I'll never forget your support.
Et puis, je voudrais...
And I'd like to repeat something I said a little earlier on. Before the voting took place, our candidate, Jean-Claude, our country, our campaign are much stronger as from now, because the European People's Party has shown that it is democratic thanks to this vote. Thanks to you.
And rightly said a few minutes ago, we have no time to waste. It's time to campaign. We are going to win. We must win together with Jean-Claude Juncker. Thank you very much.
merci, Michel.
Thank you, Michel. If there were to be an internal debate, that internal debate has come to a close. We are now in a position to start our electoral campaign. We are lagging a little behind the socialists that are traveling around, that are discussing for the past 6 months. We have to catch up with the socialists and Mr. Schulz very shortly. I would like us to use the electoral campaign in order to talk about the real Europe again. The Europe that was crafted and imagined by those who, after the Second World War, came back from concentration camp and the battlefield, created this political program. And we must talk about this Europe, not only the Europe that isn't working, but the Europe that has prove to the world that Europeans are capable of great things when they are united. I'm often told that the young no longer listen when we talk about war and peace, and this eternal European dilemma, dichotomy between peace and war. That might be true, but let us not forget that 15 years ago, one tortured, raped, killed in Kosovo and in the Balkans. Have we already forgotten what happened 3-4 weeks ago and what is still going on in the Ukraine, which is a country that is close to us, a European country, a country that's experiencing a lot of hardship, but a courageous country. The Ukraine deserves our absolute and total support. To the young, yes, one must talk to Europe about them, the Europe as it was created, and also the Europe of the future. But in order to do so, one has to observe Europe as it is today. Europe is the smallest continent. The territory of the European territory has a surface of 7.5 thousand square kilometers. Russia, 17.5 thousand square kilometers. We are the smallest continent. The economic weight of the European Union will decrease. In 30 years' time, there will be no European country around the table of the 7 most industrialized and powerful countries. The economic clout of Europe is going to decrease. We know politics, what it's composed of: geography, demography. At the beginning of this century, Europeans were 20% of the global population. Now Europe represents 7% of the global population. At the end of this century, Europe will represent 4% of the global population, which will be a population of 9 to 10 billion people. We are the smallest continent. We are the continent that's losing in economic and demographic power. Are we prepared to take up these challenges? Yes, we are, because José María said it in a very eloquent manner. We can be proud of Europe. We aren't proud enough of Europe. And why? I like Europe. I love Europe. I love looking at Europe through the eyes of Asians and Africans who look at Europe with a look of hope when they look at Europe from afar. It is only in Europe where we doubt of Europe. The whole planet admires us for what we've done, but we ourselves doubt ourselves and doubt as to the course we're to undertake in German. We need to learn to be proud of Europe again. We were able to create peace sustainably on our continent. We have created the biggest internal market in the world, and from 18 national currencies, we were able to create one single European currency. What would Europe look like if there wasn't the euro? Do you think that the European monetary system would have solved the different crises in Asia, in the United States? Does one really think that the European monetary system would still have withstood the tension in the Ukraine? If the euro hadn't existed, we wouldn't have been as protected. Instead of writing an article about what isn't working well in the Eurozone, could the papers not write an article? What would have happened if the euro hadn't existed?
Und deshalb müssen wir diese einheitliche
That's why we have to protect this single currency. That's why we have to better coordinate our economic policy. And that's why we need to build up the social dimension, the underdeveloped social dimension of the European Union. It's not that it doesn't exist. A lot of what is in the national legislations has an European origin. We need to coordinate better the economic policy. We need not everything was done properly when it came to overcoming the crisis. There have been some decisions taken too tardily, but I have never seen such a flurry of decisions in the 30 years I've been a politician as I have in the past few months. That is why I would like to thank Herman van Rompuy and the President of the European Commission, José María. These two men, during these very serious and hard years, have done sterling work. I was a witness of it, and the Europe of tomorrow owes a lot to the work done by Van Rompuy and Barroso.
Ça m'arrive à chaque fois, tu sais bien.
We must strengthen the social dimension, but we mustn't throw in the towel. What we did during the crisis was right and wrong at the same time, but the basic things we did were right. I do not think that the Social Democrats would have done the same. When I was a president of the Eurogroup, out of the 17 countries, 12 had governments with socialists. If everything had been done wrong, why didn't those countries leave the table when we were crafting this policy? We did it together. We decided upon these things together. They share the responsibility. We were able to save the Europe, and we should be proud of what we did. Now, what we have to do is to start the campaign. We have nominated a candidate, and I would like to thank you for the trust that you've placed in me. And I have taken note with great pleasure that Michel was going to support me, transport me to the right places and to the right bodies. I want the party as a whole to join forces and stand behind the candidate. The elections are there to sound out a clear signal, and that clear signal must be, if the EPP wins, then Juncker is in. So let us join forces. Let us have the necessary energy to all together celebrate in all our countries a major electoral victory on the 25th of May. We have to win these elections. I thought of Wilfried Martens a lot today and of Helmut Kohl. I want that in 50 years' time, that the young Christian Democrats that will be around then look back at the work with as much pride as we're looking back at the work of the previous generation. We are going to win these elections. That's a guarantee.